if I call them in 2 years, I am still doing my job. I'm not pestering them. I'm not bothering them. I'm doing my job. My job was to help them find flooring. This is a process that sometimes takes 2 years. I can't tell you how many times I've talked to a customer and maybe we did one area and we measured another. I keep those blueprints until I know. The walls aren't going to change. I might as well hold on to it. I call them until I have an answer. And sure, after so much time and I finally reach them and they go, oh yeah, I did that. It's like, okay, thanks so much. If there's another project, think of me and give me a call here at Carpet King. And I rip it up and I probably swear under my breath and I throw it away. But I kept in contact, and that little bit of time it took was nothing. And I still maybe got a sale out of it. There are people that can't take the rejection. Maybe you should be doing something else. Because there's no question we get faced with no a lot. But my point is, until I hear that no out of their mouths, my job isn't done. And I truly believe by that. So stay in the game until it's over. And again, there's different things you can ask, you can talk about. Part of what I do, I get teased because I use a lot of words. Okay, I do. But it's also rare that people don't understand me. Okay? So the point is when you're asking somebody something, whatever they answer, you have to have an answer. You have to have some other question at the ready. If somebody was to come in and say, Mark, to you, well, I think we're going to wait. What would you say to them? I know I'm putting you on the spot, but what would you say to them?
I'd say, are you sure you don't want to use our financing so that we can go ahead now?
Sure. And what was the hook, Larry, when they said, I think we're going to wait?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
Wait for what?
Right. And the point that they said, think,
Yeah.
I think we're going to wait.
Yeah.
You should hook on that
Yeah.
think. They didn't say, we're going to wait till spring. They said, we think we're going to wait. If there's a think in there, there's still room for us to get our foot in that door. And that's where we have to keep thinking ourselves of what's the next question. You have to keep asking. Because, and that's the part we go into the, I'll skip that for just a second. If you've already kind of lost them, if they're already walking out the door, they dropped off the samples and says, yeah, we're just not ready to decide. You have to poke them. And that's kind of my little affectionate term, is to poke them. It's not an inquisition, but ask a little harder question. Did you find something somewhere else? Well, because you mentioned you were going to go shop a little bit. Did you find something you liked better? Well, yeah. What, was it a better price? No, just the color. Do you have the sample? Yeah, it's in my car. Well, can I look at it? Sure. And I can't tell you in 20-some years of doing this how many times they brought me a sample that I had it. And I sold the job. If I had just let them walk out the door, it was gone. So it's just, I think that's where I am different. And because of it, people that have worked under me kind of get this skill as well. It's just you always have that little something. Years and years ago when we used to do private sales and we'd help out at different stores. A guy named Nate that worked for us. It was either Coon Rapids or Maple Grove. And I had a customer and it was like, well, we've got a wedding this weekend, but we can still lock you in. Well, we couldn't do the measure till next week. That's okay, we have measures then. Well, we couldn't do, and I bet there was about 8 different things. And I didn't get the sale. Okay, I'll tell you true, I didn't get the sale. But when Nate got done, and that was kind of interesting, he said, I have never seen anybody be that persistent in my whole life. The customer was never mad. I never got to them to a point where I had pissed them off. And I didn't get the sale. But you know what? I still knew I had done everything, and I'd said everything. So if there had been a chance of getting it, I would have had it. That's the point, guys. You have to cover all those points. You have to cover all those questions. And then if you still don't get it, you can sit back and say, I did everything. Just the other day, a newer guy of mine, Ted, had a guy that was looking, hadn't closed yet, couldn't commit, but we called him Thursday on the day that he closed, and he says, you know what, tells Ted on the phone, I found out there's so many things going on in the house, that I have to just wait for now. I'm just going to throw something cheap down. And Ted says, okay. Hangs up the phone. And I said, what happened? He tells me what the thing is. I said, call him back. I said, call him back. We have cheap too. You know, it's on our SV boards. He was looking at some of the Gulistan 299 stuff. We have some other things. The point is, I made him call back and say, you know what, if you're looking for something cheap, if you're thinking Menards, you're still going to pay tax. You're going to have to then find somebody to install it. By the time you look at some of our items that are at the lower end, we probably can do it for you for cheaper. It's just different than what you had. And this is a wonderful industry because we get what we pay for. You spend more money, you get more fiber. So it's kind of a neat cause and effect there too. Customers know when they're spending more money, it's going to probably be a better carpet. Conversely, if they want to spend the lower amount, they kind of get, it's not going to feel as lush. It's cool that way. You kind of get what you pay for. So poke them till you really find out what's going on. And this, for managers specifically, works with cancels. I have cancels. We all do. But I'll tell you, they have to go through me. Nothing gets out of my store without me talking to them. And again, they want to cancel. I am going to poke them. I'm going to find out what it is. And as managers, we have that ability to say, this is protocol for the company. As manager, I really want to keep you as a Carpet King customer, so I need to ask you, why is it that you're going to cancel? I don't care if they already told Jim or William. They got to tell me. And it gives me the power to maybe poke, maybe ask, maybe question, maybe come up with another alternative. And I have saved, and that's another one where that locking in, I've just got a customer right now. She's been going round and round and round and round. It's a $7,000 order. And she's got $2,000 because it went up hugely. She got $2,000 on the order. She says she wants to cancel. I've got her thinking about leaving 10% on the order, refunding that $1,300, protecting that pricing until she can decide. She needs a breather. I'm telling her how much money she's saving by doing this and by leaving that bit of money on there, and she is thinking about it. I still don't know what's going to happen. But the point is, some, because they don't know, might have just put it through as a cancel. Just maybe. Poke them. Poke them. The other thing is, and it goes back to their thing, and this is Bill's words to me, and they bit him in the butt a couple times already. If you don't ask, you don't get. I am store manager, I have been for a long time, and I don't have pricing control, and I like it. I like that I don't. I like that I have somebody else that I have to defer to for pricing. So it kind of takes me out of that decision making. Sure, have I been here long enough so I have a sense of what you can get away with, a sense of what the pricing can be, but I don't have to be the one responsible. And when I've had somebody where that's the only thing that we're dealing with, we've done everything else, we've checked the products, we've gone as low as we can, we've gone with the pad that they, blah, 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 and I still need a price and they want, and it's like, you know what, let's present it. What's the worst that'll happen? They'll say no. If you don't ask, you don't get. And if we can't do it, we can't. But maybe we'll get what we could. Maybe I was trying for $2,000 and I kind of thought I wasn't going to get but $22,000. But if I get $2,150, that's going to make the customer happy with what they started with. You don't ask, you don't get in life, too. And then being proactive versus reactive. I'm trying to keep us to our time here. This is really something in all aspects of our job. Hearing installations say that he's gone through orders that don't have notes in them, it's really unforgivable. It really is. There's just no reason that we don't put notes in the messages when you're dealing with customers. There's just not. And it's so simple to do and to ignore something for so long. I get maybe somebody new that didn't have a way to look. We'll find that out, we'll learn it, and then it won't ever happen again. But really, that's not proactive at all. If you have a back order, call the damn customer. Just tell them. Again, you have choices. We have things that we can offer. We just had a situation, 12-foot goods of Blue U product, back order, customer needed by Thanksgiving. We got Ryan to provide the 15-foot goods for the same price. The customer's happy, they're getting their installation. Carpet King doesn't lose because we've got the price adjusted. but we had to be aware of it, we had to address it, and we had to ask to get something outside of the box. If you're not sure, talk to Mike, talk to me, talk to Matt, talk to Bill, talk to Steve, talk to Larry. Larry's been around a long time. Gene, you know, Gerald's been here a while, so I mean, he'd be a good resource too. Any of the guys that have been longer than yourselves probably have a few more ins and outs than you're familiar with. Overcoming objections. I've done all the above, they still won't buy. This is kind of interacted into what we've been just talking about. Having that answer. And so I just had written down a few things of what kind of comes to mind when somebody says. And we want to go a few more places. Years ago, a sales manager of ours said, you know, what would it take to, you know, so that you don't do that? He'd often say it to the guy, because guys usually aren't that keen on doing the shopping. And Davis would go to him and say, really, what are you looking for? What are you trying to get to a price? Tell me what it is, and I can put you out of your misery. And he had a way that he could kind of say that to him and get away with it. But the point is, they want a few more places. Even if they're going to leave, there's a couple things we have to remember every time. If we think our competition, even inkling that they're going to shop somewhere else, we have to let them know we have a great selection. But no company is going to have everything. So if you find the sample that you like better, bring it to me. Odds are I can identify it, and I have access to it. You'd be stunned how many times people don't know that.
I always add the customer service, because I don't get customer service in any of these other places.
Sure.
So when I'm talking to them, I add the customer service.
But specific to this, about when they say they have to go other places, let them, you know what, go ahead. If you have to, you have to. But if you see something else, bring it to me. And I think we all know you have to have the sample, because the names are all, I'm calling it Steve, they're calling it Bob, we're both calling it Mary when we order it, and we have no cross-reference. If they say, well, so-and-so has it cheaper, you know what? We have a handwritten or a company policy that says price match guarantee. We have to let them know that. And sometimes they go hand in hand. And here's one thing that I learned when you're talking about price match guarantee. If you say, if you find it cheaper somewhere else, we'll beat it, somehow you're laying the thought that they could find a better price if they look hard enough. What I have said is, and if we're not already the lowest, we will be. And that just kind of takes that out of it for them. So you're just saying, if I'm not already, you find something else, bring it to me. If I'm not already better, I will be. Because I have a company and a store policy. I will not be beat apples to apples, maybe even Honeycrisp to Honeycrisp. Okay, so you have another sale next week. Sure, it's retail. We always have something. But today we've got this, and this. And I don't know what tomorrow's going to be. As you go through, I have to talk to my spouse. That's a bit of a tough one, but you got to remember, it could just be bull. They might be the one. This is a defense mechanism that they're putting in front of you. So ask them when they could both come in. Can you meet them? Can we make an appointment? I don't do a lot of house calls. If I felt I needed to, I would. But some of you guys that are going to end up measuring, that's a perfect time to say, you know, well, would you both be there if I came out and measured? Another expense came up. That happens quite a bit. 12-month financing, or even if not, leave 10%. We're back to that locking it in thing. Won't be ready for a while. Again, lock it in. It's more than we planned. We have choices. We can discount. We can do all those things. Need some time to decide. You know what? That's great. But that's what this policy of locking in will do for you. You can take the time you need and not put anything else at risk. Just not ready. What's it going to take for you to be ready? Just a few hints. My point, I hope, is having an answer. Having something to come back with. Something to combat that statement with. We're not going to get every order, but if we've done all the above, then we have done our best, and truly, that's all any of us, Bill included, can ask. Lastly, goals and expectations for sales and phone calls and mailings. I will tell you this. If you handle your customers and you're doing your follow-up and you're calling your old customers and you're doing all of these things, your phone calls are there. Okay, there isn't going to have to be a lot of above and beyond calls. Sure, there's ways, there's systems, there's the reports, there's lists that you can call on, But if you're really doing what you're supposed to be doing and checking stock and calling the mill and calling the customer and following up, the calls take care of themselves. Same with your postage. If you're sending your thank yous, if you're sending the receipts, the ROA reports, you're sending out the flyers when we have them available. You're doing a lot of that. But the point is, as managers, we have to set that expectation. And it's, again, a lead by example thing. You have to do it, and you have to tell them what to expect. Sales, of course, by the day, by the week, by the month. A reminder, all business phone calls must happen on the business store phones. Okay, you don't want to call on your day off. It's great if you're following up, but if they give you the permission to okay it, and you confirm everything, and all of a sudden they say, I didn't want color 12, I wanted color 21, and you don't have it on the recording that confirms that when you said color 12, we're not protecting ourselves. Make those calls on the store phones. And just, you have to believe this, guys. And again, if it's not what you truly do believe, then you have to fake it until you can believe it. The calls and the mailings are going to build to future business. Sometimes it is just PR. If you're calling off the old customer warranty lists, I think that's important. But I do think we have to understand, we might maybe not getting immediate results from that, but if we replace Carpet King in their mind, then they very possibly will remember us when it is time. And that's the point of the calls. So if you're making other truly lists, calls, and those things, keep that in mind. A system that works up for sales, and we can talk about this if you guys have any questions, but if I had to go to another store today, I have one binder. That's all I would have to take with me. And I have 4 sections in it, and the one is kind of arbitrary. I have stuff I'm actively working. It's the potential. It's the people that haven't given me an answer yet. And it's my future people. The people I have talked to that said, call me at the end of the year, call me after the first of the year. Literally those 3 sections, but then when I'm dealing with a customer, I put it back where it belongs. And it keeps it streamlined. And all your people should have something like that. Maybe it's in a stack, maybe it's in their drawer in a folder, maybe it's in a binder, but everybody should have some system, and you should know what it is. So that if you need to look for something, you know where to go for it. Build the suspended orders. I know we all got our lists. They just want to see that potential. Nobody's cracking anybody because they have too many orders on the suspended list. It shows potential. But you have to work it. You can't just let it sit there. I do have a few things on mine that are old, but they're old because they haven't gotten off the pot yet. And until they do, they're going to sit there. But I know about it. I know what my people's ones are. That's the point. We have to know about it. Last thing, we had talked about the last session, was this unobtrusive redundancy. You have to be aware of what your people are doing. They have to know you're there to reinforce and support them. I had a customer or a salesperson, that person came in and said, good news, bad news. Found the carpet I want, but I can't do it because I just found out I have to have a new furnace. But write down the ones that I want, and then when I'm ready, I'll come back. And the person, who sadly isn't with us anymore, there was potential there, but they're not here now. And he said, well, if you want, you could lock in on the sale. And she goes, no, I'll just wait. Well, the way we are in our store, we have a front counter, and then I've got my desk behind. And I just kind of turned around, and you might not have noticed I'm a little taller than most. So it's a lot of times if I'm standing up and I approach people, I can be a little dominating. So me just turning around in my chair, I just said, what he meant with that locking in is that with the sale that's going on right now, if you put, we normally take 50%, but we probably could do it's at the end of the month as little as 10%. We're going to keep that pricing for you with still the choice of changing the color, of changing the style. If something blows up, you can even get your money back. But if you put that money on it, we're going to protect that for you till you're decided. Really? 10%? Yeah, that's it. Well, it's a win-win. And she put money on it. What was hard was my salesperson said, well, I said what you said. He did not. They think they are. Okay? That's the point. They think they are. By saying, well, you could lock it in. It's like stating the feature without stating the benefit. You have to listen. You have to be aware. You have to find a way to gently add that in. It could make the difference between getting the sale and not. And if you do it and they get it, they'll do it on their own going forward. So just being there to kind of reinforce, to support, to guide, with kind of, I think I wrote gentle at one point, I changed it to subtle, but constant presence. You have to kind of be aware. I told you guys going in, you do all this stuff, you're working. You're working. You're not just there for a few hours of working at a day. You're probably working from when you get in the morning till you go at night. But I kind of think that's what we think we're going to do if we want to do it well and do it successfully and make money. So that is enough for today. The last session will be, 2 weeks, whatever the next meeting is, and that will be how to make you guys actually more money and maximize your potential, which I think everybody will be excited about. I haven't written it yet. Thank you, and then questions will be when we turn off.